All right, welcome back to another episode of Politics and Movies, and we got a lovely episode for you. This one is going to be on Taxi Driver, the 1976 hit film. It's contested apparently whether it's a neo-noir psychological drama film directed by Martin Scorsese, written by Paul Schrader, and starring Robert De Niro, Jodie Foster, Cybill Shepherd, Harvey Keitel, Peter Boyle, Leonard Harris, and Albert Brooks. Set in a morally decaying New York City following the Vietnam War, the film follows Travis Bickle, a veteran and taxi driver, and his deteriorating mental state as he works nights in the city. Yes, I read all that Wikipedia. Don't at me.
At
And
least say it in your own words. God, even AI parsers can do that.
I I usually do. This time I decided to phone it in, I guess. And as you can see, we have our guest GS today.
Oh yeah, trapping out the bando, 70s style. Fully loaded.
Yeah. And I wish a real rain would come and wash my asshole. I have a lackluster bidet.
When the whores and the politicians look up, I'll piss.
Yeah, we'll get the scatological humor out of the way, and then we start talking about Taxi Driver. So, right off the bat, did you enjoy this film? I know it's your first time seeing it.
Enjoy? Well, I don't know. I liked aspects of it. It seemed it was an inconsistent experience for me, but I thought there was enough like really good stuff in it to elevate it. Wasn't quite the thrill ride I was promised. Not all the legendary Kino can deliver, but yeah, still worth a spin or whatever if you get it on Laserdisc. If you're one of the lucky few.
Yeah. No, the way I see this movie, it's hard for me. I have a little bit of bias because it was when I first started getting into film, it was one of the first movies that I was like, "Oh yeah, I've got to watch this one. It's a classic." So I have a little bit of nostalgia for it. And I um I just really love the overall vibe of this movie, and I feel like a lot of people do. And maybe
Yeah, that's, I would say, the strongest thing it has going. Like, I have not seen anything else that captures that 70s New York, like, grimy, late night, like, really does need a rain to come and wash it clean. Sort of just nasty, filthy, reveled in it. Delectable.
yeah, it's a great setting for this story, and it definitely contributes a lot to the world building, and just yeah, the overall aesthetic of it is impeccable, I think. And yeah, I like the script. I think this might be controversial, but I do think it is not Paul Schrader's strongest script. But that's not saying it's too much, I think, because he's done some incredible films. And yeah, so I think but it's interesting. I like the narrative of the film, and there's definitely some politics we can get into.
Oh boy.
Uh,
There are few movies I feel like that are quite as poignantly salient as a movie about disenfranchised autistic man who becomes radicalized.
yeah, Some strong Holden Caulfield shit, definitely. And we can also talk about the real world implications of this movie and the influence that it's had on real world events. Like,
Well, Joe
like,
Foster would prefer that we didn't.
yeah, okay, Jodie Foster would prefer that we did.
She wouldn't even talk to Charlie Rose about it.
Yeah, I think.
At the cost of incurring the wrath of the crusty paw, as they say. You
Yeah.
heard about that?
No.
That phrase always stuck with me. Oh yeah, he was one of the people who got sexual misconduct allegations when everyone started coming under fire. Yeah, apparently he would have uh, females over to his chateau or beach house or whatever, and he'd just like be wearing a loose fitting like a robe, and he would sort of get a bit handsy or whatever. And it had a nickname that it was referred to as the Crusty Paw.
Ooh,
Yeah,
God.
yeah. You missed the Charlie Rose scandal. Good shit. And even that, like when you've got a tag like that.
Yeah, I there's so many scandals, it's hard to keep track of all of them. Um, but yeah, I think the other person who would prefer if we didn't talk about that is John Hinckley Jr., who is now out of prison and recording folk music.
God bless. I mean, to be fair, you see 12-year-old Jodie Foster in this, and I can understand becoming unhealthily obsessed,
I
Definitely
can't.
does something to a man.
I can't relate,
Gentle
but
listener, I am joking.
gentle listener. Uh, please don't call the cops. We're only joking. Yeah,
Just kidding,
but
swat
yeah.
me if you can, asshole.
But anyway, yeah, this is a very rich film in terms of political content to mine for the sake of our podcast. But let's start off by talking about um,
Porno theaters.
morning theaters. We can do that.
What's the deal? Why are the floors so sticky?
And yeah, that's an interesting relic of this film, the fact that it and that's that it's interesting, I think, from the perspective of Travis Bickle, and he's so like disconnected from acceptable social cues that he thought like it was completely fine to like take his date on
Well,
on
he
a
said he saw lots of couples going to them, and so he was just modeling behavior. Like he has no
right.
inbuilt moral compass or direction. It seems he's and whether we can blame the war on that or not, we don't know what he was like before being a Marine in Nam.
Right.
But my question is, what did he get out of the porno theater? Like, why did he go there? He
Well,
doesn't seem like a hypersexual character. Like he wasn't, adding to the pools. He was producing no rivulets in the darkened room. I'm all
well,
but certain. Can he come?
I
We
don't know.
don't
We've
know.
never seen. Yeah, we have no. Well, the way I interpreted it is that it was just another thing for him to watch, like, and he thought it was totally normal. He didn't see like the social stigma attached to it, like that, like you were saying, that's completely alien to him. So, it was just another thing for him to do, because when he wasn't working, and it seemed like his work life, I think it's safe to call him a workaholic because, it seems like he just really wanted to get all those hours in and, make as much money as possible.
Well, he lacked purpose. He
Yeah,
lacked direction, and for a while, just doing his job was good enough, as it is for many people, such as the wizard. He's been around. You become the job. Well,
yeah.
for some people, that's not quite enough. They yearn for you know some noble cause.
Right, and
That
we definitely see that absence of meaning throughout the film for him. Where he's just trying to find a connection. Like really, it seems like the majority of the film he's just trying to make a connection, and I guess we can get into it. He finally does in this really roundabout way where he ends up um, at the end of the film. Spoilers, of course, but I'm gonna put a spoiler tag on this. But he finally does in the form of when he's trying uh, to assassinate, which is the guy running for president, who is essentially his ex-girlfriend's boss. It seemed like as a jilted lover, out of some misplaced sense of rage or jealousy, he then pivots when he he nearly gets caught and decides to go and kill a pimp instead. And he gets applauded for it. And he thought, he didn't intend to.
everybody
Uh,
clapped.
he, he didn't intend to become a good Samaritan. He wasn't like seeking praise or approval at that point, but that's when he got it. And I think that's interesting. And I think that's a really interesting aspect of this movie. Um,
See, it's not clear to me what his rationale was for planning the assassination in the first place. He said, I have to do something big, I have to do something important, but what change he thought it would affect or why he thought it was important is not revealed to us. It
yeah,
just
and it
seemed big. He
it
just wanted to
yeah,
impress his own, ephemeral Jodie Foster character.
right. It's not revealed to him his true motivation, which is interesting because we have like his inner monologue in the form of narration throughout the film, but that part is never like made entirely salient why he's decided to
Well, see, it's
assassinate.
it's my assessment that Paul Schrader doesn't know, and Martin Scorsese doesn't know, and Bob doesn't know either. See, this movie bites off an awful lot of themes and sort of chokes on them. To be honest, it's much like tween Jodie Foster's pussy. Allegedly, it'll blow your mind, but no rough stuff. By which I mean any scrutiny whatsoever. Because as soon as you start to look at the themes and the character and analyze it, it's all just made up as they go along. It feels like there are so many inconsistencies within the character, uh, and his actions and his portrayal, that I can't get a grasp on who this guy is. And it would be I think it's supposed to be. I think a lot of people interpret that as depth, but no, you can't just show me the seven different conflicting attributes and say, oh yeah, that's what it is to be human. I am multitudes, and so are you. No, give me a fully realized, consistent character, and it's okay to have a few conflicting things, but to have him have no fixed attributes at all, almost, is frustrating as a viewer. You know,
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of gaps in that I don't necessarily believe are poorly written. I do think that like it's up to the viewer to fill those in their own way. I
a book, so make it a damn book. I'm here for a movie. Some ambiguity is fine, but hang an entire movie on this, character study, and for me to not, in the end, have a good idea of who the character is or what he's about, like I don't know. That doesn't work for me.
Um,
Am I supposed to be relating to him? Like part of the issue is that I don't. The movie seems unable to decide whether it wants to be, real, as many people have said, grounded and gritty and a reflection of the worst that New York at the time had to offer, or whether it wants to be, stylized and hyper real and larger than life, and a portrayal of theme rather than literal fact. It seems torn between that throughout the whole runtime.
it's an interesting perspective.
Which you mean you think I'm full of shit? Well, let's hear your take. You know,
Well, okay. The way I see it, Travis is a first and foremost, yeah, he's very uh unstable in some ways. He's very mentally stunted, I feel. Like he feels
he's a
like and
child.
he
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, like he feels like he's like mentally stunted at age 14 or something, or
I mean, he's
maybe
Marine, so sort of goes without saying.
yeah, and the
Hoorah!
fact that the fact that throughout most of the movie he acts as an observer and he's mostly observing other people and other interactions and trying to glean some kind of meaning, I think is very interesting in that he just gloms on to whatever situation he's in or whoever he's around and tries to reflect what they're doing or what they're saying or their environment. And in that way, to me, he does feel very human and fleshed out
Mm,
to an extent. I feel like we don't really see his morals until towards the end of the film, where he, decides that he is really disgusted by the fact that Jodie Foster is a prostitute and the way the pimp is talking about her and their relationship. And like, but it's interesting enough that that's not like the first thing on his mind. That's not his primary objective to, rid the world of this scum. It's to, of course, go after this politician who, in his eyes, hasn't really done anything wrong that he knows of, and he even says he doesn't follow the politics especially close. He doesn't know his policies. He doesn't really know anything about him. So I think it's an interesting take. I don't know if like structurally, um, like if this is going to sound really pretentious, but if I were writing this movie, I don't think that's the direction I would go in. And I'm not saying that I'm knocking that choice because I think this is probably better written than I could have managed. Of course, at the time that uh, Paul Schrader wrote this film. This was only his second film. He co-wrote the Yakuza before this, and then this was his second film. So I think this is his first film that he wrote solo. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure. So I think that's pretty impressive.
well, I don't know if you get points for that. Like Robert Eggers pulling out the Lighthouse after he'd made, how many movies? Now that's an achievement, right? This is, sort of its day. Like the themes and the characters and a lot of what goes on in it we see in a lot of other media from around the same time, earlier even. Like there was that wave of vigilante movies of people taking the law into their own hands because they're tired of not being able to recognize their America anymore. Like that was the whole thing with Dirty Harry, right? Like it was supposed to appeal to the generation of people who had fought in the World War II and then come back and seen that descend into the hands of the degenerates, the outsiders, the other. It wasn't the America they fought for. And here's Clint Eastwood, the cowboy, with his charismatic hairline and his used car salesman suit to wash the streets clean.
Yeah,
Well,
but I think that's interesting because that is, that of course, Dirty Harry was a direct response to the Zodiac killings and was mostly inspired by that, and, the character of Dirty Harry was inspired by Dave Toschi, one of the detectives working the case. So I don't know if it's entirely the same thing. Like, yeah, he's a vigilante, but he's also a cop. This guy is just some schmuck off the street who is a taxi driver. So it's, I mean, it's a little different, I think.
like cop car is like a taxi, you know, it's parallels.
And the
It gets
Zodiac
where
killer
you're
killed
going.
the Zodiac killer killed one of his victims in the back of a taxi, so or in the front of it, whatever. He killed one of his victims in a taxi. So taxi
And
driver.
he didn't have even have the courtesy to wipe out the cum afterward. I bet. God, I was gonna go somewhere, but I'm lost a little bit. What were we talking about before?
Well, we were talking about uh, the character of Travis Bickle.
No shit. Like I started talking about Gunman. Why is it always a 44 Magnum? I mean, what was it? Charles Brunson's character is the odd one out because he has the AMT Automag 3, which takes like a 30 carbine or something like that. Just like a
Oh,
short
yeah.
rifle round rather than for the first like half of the movie, he's just complaining about, all this filth, like all these, fairies and pimps and whatever. Um, but what objection does he have to them? Like he has no problem traversing the seedy underbelly late at night, and we don't see anybody, do anything to him. So he is just observing and judging. But what's the basis for his judgment? He doesn't seem to know. He just has a some sort of hatred generalized, and that to me seems just the most convenient outlet for it. Right, like that's how he relates to the world. He not through so many natural, organic impulses or desires, but through whatever Ursat's lens he can glom to throw up a bunch of words. Felt nasty coming out of my throat.
Yeah,
Bitches know what it's like.
no. Yeah, I would say that he, I guess to get a little political, he is in fact he's seeing all this urban decay, and he is deciding to uh throw the blame at the other people around him. He's othering the people that he sees every day, day to day, and he's not blaming necessarily the powers that be that may have had a hand in the city being the way it is. And I think that's interesting that in that context, we then have a character that is a politician, and he's ostensibly trying to fix the city in some ephemeral way. Maybe he
Well, that's his
almost
platform, but what's he actually going to do? No more or less than anyone else, right?
right. And if you listen to his actual speech, towards the end of the movie, it's loaded with buzzwords, and it's full of like rhetoric that doesn't really seem to um, demonstrate or show like really any actual policies that might um, change things or move things in a better direction.
Oh,
It
that's not
seems like
what rallies like that are for. They're for
yeah,
energizing your voter base. Right. That's what
right, but
all the rhetoric and all the empty language is for.
yeah.
It's just a vehicle for your charisma.
Right, but I feel like maybe the film is in some way taking a stance on that and saying that this guy actually isn't going to really fix anything. He's just trying to get elected. And then once he does, it's business as usual. I mean, that's the vibe that I got at least.
Well, certainly Travis doesn't think he's going to fix anything.
Well, it's funny then, that after, all that happens, the events of the movie, he says, "I hope he wins," like, after he tries to assassinate him. But I think he's just like it's just empty talk, I think, for him, he's just again, he's just trying to relate to people around him, and, he's really not sure how,
Even the
'cause
assassination, I submit, is an empty symbol that's supposed to mean something to other people, but is just, once again, the most convenient outlet for what he's trying to achieve: meaning, connection, something real, something important.
Right, and you could argue the only reason he buys the guns that he ends up buying is because, he has a friend who said he has a connection to help him get a gun, and he happens to have been working all these hours and have all this money that he can afford to buy, like, almost every gun off this guy. And, then he's like, "Well, I got all these guns, I might as well use them," you know? And that's what it seems like to me anyway, that he's just, like he doesn't really have a plan, he doesn't really have a purpose until he says, like, "Oh, I've got this." It's a matter of convenience for him, it feels.
Just like Paul Schrader.
You shut your whore mouth, I love Paul Schrader.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I love Dominion prequel to The Exorcist as much as the next guy.
Oh, yeah, his finest hour. Um, I
No, no,
just
that would
watched
be Cat People.
the remake, yeah.
They're both
Um,
good, honestly.
I haven't seen either one yet. I need to fix that one of these days.
Yeah, they're both good. Like, utterly unrelated. One has an absolute banger of a Bowie track as its like opening and theme song.
Yeah, I've heard the song.
See these eyes so green, I could stare for 1,000 years. Just be still with me. You wouldn't believe what I've been through.
Well, I think it's interesting that that song was uh, Inglorious Bastards, but that's neither here nor there. We're
Wait,
getting
it
off track.
was?
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't remember that. But I remember almost nothing about that movie other than Mike Myers was in it for
Yeah.
some reason.
It was a rather bizarre occurrence of him. But yeah, I mean as far as Taxi Driver goes, um get on the topic of Mike Myers. Uh yeah, I really do feel that he is aimless until he's not, he's an observer until he's not, and he has morals until he doesn't. He's a character of convenience, and he is like that's just who he is. That's just how he goes through life until he gets rewarded for quote unquote being a good Samaritan and rescuing Jodie Foster from Harvey Keitel and
Yeah,
et al.
and he doesn't remain faithful to any purpose for very long. It seems because he says, no more pills, no more the eating like a bachelor, 50 push-ups every morning, and then like how long is it until we see him, popping more pills again, just sitting in
Right.
front of a TV watching his soap operas?
Yeah, until he gets frustrated and kicks the TV over, but yeah.
And he's watching soap operas presumably for the same reason that he went to the porno theater. It's just he's trying to glean some insight into the real people world because he's
Right.
he's outside and maybe isn't even really aware of it.
Yeah, and I do think that's interesting. I also think it's interesting that he decides to when he is, like being radicalized, as you put it, and he decides to start building up his body and all that stuff, and he decides to take the role of a vigilante or assassin or what have you. He gives himself a mohawk, and I guess he feels like that, because up until that point, I feel like he doesn't care particularly about his image. Like he just wears whatever clothes he has, and
Oh no,
uh,
no, he cares when he's trying to woo the lady from
Sybil Shepherd.
Moonlighting. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He puts on his nicest '70s velvet.
that's true, and I feel like yeah, he has that mode and that attire, and then he has his vigilante attire when he feels like he's really. I feel like that's the moment where he feels like he's fully immersing himself into the role, but even then, he doesn't completely go through with it, and he decides, so what does this say about his commitment to the bit, to any bit, really, other than being a taxi driver, which is really the only thing we see him totally committed to. Like he's just throughout the movie.
I know he becomes committed to rehabilitating in his mind Jodie Foster's character, but why? And more interesting to me, when he's stalking her at one point, what is going through his head then? Like, what is she to him at the three, you know, different phases of, uh, you know, how is he associates with her? At first, you know, she's in trouble and gets in his cab, but he doesn't drive away. He's passive. He, is indecisive. He doesn't take action. He's just waiting for something to happen, and
Right, and I feel
it
like
does.
yeah, and I feel like at that moment he's still in his role as an observer, and then like something kicks in, and he decides to take action in his own way. Um, but yeah, I think definitely throughout the movie, he switches, he flip-flops between being an observer and taking action, and I think it's interesting how the film, conveys that, and, I don't know, I don't always like, um, narration in a film, and I feel like it definitely, I think it was necessary in this film. It definitely adds to the neo-noir feel. I think that's its biggest, addition, I think. It really adds to that. Um,
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it's setting up to like give us his manifesto or something, and it doesn't seem used especially strategically. It's just whenever the screenwriter thinks of it. I don't know. It
I
doesn't offer us insight when I find I most want it.
okay.
Like it's only used for flavor rather than you know any sort of substantial revelation.
Well, I think it could be argued that maybe Travis even, isn't capable of real insight at that point in the movie.
Well, the movie's capable of offering us insight into his void.
Yeah.
The echo in the DeNiro.
Yeah, and I do think it's interesting that, the movie, for the most part, doesn't choose to, moralize specifically and say, what he's doing is right or wrong, but, there are other characters that, do, and, I think it's interesting that, he has a strong distaste for, Albert Brooks's character, who is, when he's, trying to woo Sybil Shepherd and,
I
because
mean, to be fair, don't you, as a viewer? He's an annoying little Jew.
Okay, dude. Well,
It's the
he
70s in New York. You're gonna, encounter a few in the on the campaign trail.
well, I think there was more to it than that. I think he saw him as like a romantic threat, like an alternative, partner for her, and he, like, specifically, uh, doubles down on, like, trying to convince her that, "Oh, he's no good for you, he's a bad person, stay away from him." And it feels very shallow and very, uh, aggressive and very, like, "Oh, like, oh, stay away from him, you're gonna fall in love with him and leave me." And I think it's an interesting, I think that's an interesting insight into his character, like, as far as, um, the fact that he is very insecure, very neurotic, and he doesn't have any faith in his ability to hold on to this person, and,
What do you
just
mean,
through
hold on?
his
She was never his to begin with. You referred to her as his girlfriend. They were never going
Yeah,
steady. Like they were
yeah,
friends, I guess. Like he
yeah,
he sort of snuck in through the friend zone door, right?
yeah,
And it's not clear what he was to her, or what she was to
yeah,
him, or what he wanted her to be. I mean, he
yeah,
wanted, what other people have, the romance, the connection, as we keep coming back to. But
right.
he eventually figures out that bitches be tricks. You know,
Well, he says, she's just like everybody else, but,
yeah,
what does that
like
mean?
he's a spurned child.
Yeah.
He really is just a child, partly formed. You know,
Yeah.
just a wandering id, no
Yeah,
superego,
right.
balls out.
And, uh, and I do feel like, yeah, like you're saying, like they went on one date and it went horribly wrong. But I feel like in his mind, like she
You've
was
gone
supposed to
sexual.
um,
What
but
did she get from him? Like, why did she get lunch with this weirdo? You know, and he
well,
comes in so confident, and he, has a. If she buys, his angle that, oh, you're sad. I can tell you're sad because you're a woman.
it
You'll be
is
happy
wild.
with me. I can save you from this
And I,
this guy
yeah,
with
and
no sense
I
of
think
humor who thinks he's so
right.
smart. He's got that New York sensibility.
Like, I think she does, like, mostly just buy into his confidence at first, and then when she realizes it's all a sham and he actually has no real confidence, he was just, putting on, a facade of, bravado, and that, he's actually, like, this aggressively neurotic and insecure person that she decides, like, "Oh, this guy needs to get the hell away from me. What the hell am I doing?" And I think, like she sees past the veil, so to speak, I guess. And yeah, but he's very like demanding and very assertive at first, and like maybe she's attracted to that idea of him. And so maybe that's why she agrees to, like what's the technically the first date they go for like coffee or something.
So I think she's just understimulated, and he's weird, and she just wants to see where it goes. Like, what makes this guy tick? You know?
That's that's possible. Yeah. That's interesting too, just like curiosity, like, who is this guy? He's just suddenly in my life and he is paying attention to me and giving me like lots of um praise and admiration and It's, like, it's easy to, like, be wooed by stuff like that. I would see it, like, as, like, a form of, like, love bombing is really what he was doing in a way. Like, he keeps complimenting her, and he keeps saying, like, she's got the prettiest eyes and stuff like that, and, she falls for it initially, and, yeah, I think there's something to that.
Some rando comes into your place of work and says, "Hey, you're the most attractive person I've ever seen. Come have lunch with me. I can be the friend you need."
Yeah, I can guarantee you 9 times out of 10 that's not gonna work, and they're gonna think that you're, like, some skeezy pickup artist, but, this is the 10th time.
It worked once for Paul Schrader, and so he figured he'd, discern the magic secret.
Right. Or or maybe, like, giving the benefit of the doubt, maybe he's seen, like, other guys that are like this and, like, figured, this could make a good character, and I would argue it does. It's interesting to watch.
He did that 100 different times, and each of those 100 different, snapshots come together to form this amalgam, this gestalt.
Yeah,
Has he ever looked at his own eyes in the mirror? What does he see? Now, that shot at the end,
yeah.
that overcranked a bit, where he looks in the mirror, and then the movie ends, and he turns it away. I assumed that that was him catching his own eye in the mirror and not liking what he saw, as was very loosely but, adequately set up by Jodie Foster earlier.
Yeah.
And,
Uh,
other people seem to have read that as uh, an implication that the whole cycle of violence can start again, and this time he won't be seen as a hero.
right, and that is an interesting question, like, with the ambiguity of that, because, I'm honestly not sure, but I feel like it's maybe, a callback to, like, the famous scene earlier in the movie where he's in the mirror and he says, "You talking to me? Who you talking to?" You know?
Why is that? Why is that the thing that people took away from the movie? It's just another example of how he's sad and lonely and exists in a fantasy world and is sort
Right.
of detached from reality. It's like he's having a shower argument, you know.
Yeah. Well, could you argue that that's, like, representative of the whole movie, basically?
It's the screenwriter who is tired of all the filth. You know, a black person looked at him funny once, and he ran home and cried.
She she's having sex with my wife.
Yeah, imagine making a whole movie and getting all the funding and logistics and whatever and directing it, and then casting yourself in it just so that you can drop the only N bomb in it.
That is interesting. He gives himself the, Tarantino treatment before Tarantino.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the great American tradition.
Yeah. Very ahead of his time, Scorsese.
Yeah, real pioneer.
Jesus. But, yeah, I don't know that I necessarily had anything else, did you?
Oh boy, well there's so much that happens in this movie. It's theme wise, like it bites off like every theme, every fucking theme, all of them. it has every conflict in it, you know. But the takeaway is, well, early on he says, um, with a tone he doesn't really use elsewhere. He says it does. I'm paraphrasing, but it does not profit one to indulge in, you know, morbid self-reflection, when that's probably very much what he could have stood to benefit from.
Yeah.
He had some
You can
growing to
argue.
do, some self-awareness to attain.
Yeah. And yeah, and you could say like the only time he's at all reflective is when he's ranting about, things he doesn't like or, in other people and
He's trying
not
to
really have
manifest an opinion on the spot.
yeah, very much like a 13-year-old or, a teenager, who's just like, I've got to have an opinion on this, but I don't really, so I'm going to form one on the spot. That's really how it felt to me.
Yeah, and I also didn't really get his, when he's in the cab with Palantine, and he's trying to, suck him off through the little barrier with just his words and inflection. Like, why is he so supportive? Is he just, trying to find some connection as a sycophant?
I
Or
think
is he
so.
just looking for head pets?
Yeah, I know, I think so. It's another form of, like, what he does with, Cybill Shepherd. He's love bombing him when he's just trying to make some kinda connection. That's one of the only things he knows how to do, and, he's doing it again. He's doing it again.
The cycle
So,
begins again. Yeah.
yeah.
So
So,
the moral of the story is to, you know, have sympathy for others. Experience empathy, because he
yeah.
eventually does one thing right. Like, he tries to help someone
Yeah,
rather
and
than it's the only thing he's tried that isn't relating to the world through violence or force. And of course, it does wind up being the violent apotheosis of the movie.
yeah,
But
and I think there's something else interesting to be said there too because, well, there's still a disconnect in that because Jodie Foster's character, has said repeatedly that she does not want help. That Iris says, like I'm happy where I am, leave me alone. But like she's basically she's a child, so she happens to be wrong in this case. But like earlier
oh yeah,
characters,
children are always wrong.
oh, well, in this case, that's
We,
why I
we
said,
always know better. Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
What if she was happy? She had room and board. She was loved. She had
she was
a
being
place in the
groomed
world.
by she was being groomed by a pimp. I don't think that
Oh yeah,
really
like school is so much better. Her parents suck. School sucks. She doesn't seem to mind that lifestyle. Like, she's not looking to run away. She's chilling. Who's the square here? That was funny to me because I don't know. I don't know that I know anymore what square means.
and, yeah, it's funny because it seems like he doesn't either. The
Yeah,
character. He's like, I'm hip, I'm not square, and then I don't remember exactly what he says after that, but it's like, no, that's not what square means. What are you talking about?
I'm not a square. You're a square. You're hanging out with killers and junkies. Like, that's
Yeah,
pretty much the opposite of square, isn't it?
right. Yeah, yeah, that's true. It's another case of him, like just like not being totally aware of what's going on or why.
Yeah. Whereas he would have been perfectly content to be square if only he'd been able to make some sort of connection in doing so. Like if he'd
Right.
been let in from the outside.
Yeah, like, if instead of, operating in, like, rundown areas, he operated around, Wall Street and he met some banker friends, I feel like, he definitely would have been a square if, he could have found a connection that way, yeah.
Yeah, if only someone had let him in.
Yeah. Which, takes us to another, Scorsese film, The Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh boy, let him out. He's got to do his business.
Oh, but anyway,
He's got to
yeah,
throw a
I think
midget.
Jesus. Yeah, that happens. But anyway, yeah, I think this is an interesting film, and there's a lot to talk about here, and we did talk about a fair amount. Was there anything else you wanted to add before we wrap up?
Score was good.
Yes, it was famously Bernard Herrmann's last score. Bernard Herrmann famously did a lot of the composing for Hitchcock, and notably Vertigo and Psycho. So yeah, this was his last score before he died.
Real tasty. Although I felt that the main theme might have got overused a bit.
Maybe
But
so, and
to be fair, the man had died just before finishing the score, so they couldn't exactly ask him for, more.
right, right, and yeah, well, could that possibly play into the themes of the movie, where the music is being reused over and over?
Well, time is a flat circle, as we know.
Time is the fourth dimension.
I can't touch it. I've tried, but I can see right through it.
We'll try harder. All right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we've been talking about Taxi Driver, 1976 film. It's a classic for better or worse. Yeah. So say goodnight, GS.
Hmm. Gonna New York, wherever you are.
Yeah, Pasadena.
That's a pass.